Welcome back to another video. I'm Kimora, you know me. But if you don't, I'm Kimora. We're sticking with the intro at this point. In today's video, we are going to be doing my September/October reading wrap up because I only read 8 books in September and I only read 5 books in October. I was going to record my September reading wrap up halfway through October, but when I got halfway through October, I had not read all of the books that I thought I was going to read, so I was like, let's just wait until October's over to record both of the wrap ups. So I'm going to start with September, then I'm going to go into October, and we're going to do it in order. If my tablet would stay open, because I don't feel like using my computer. The first book I read in October was in September, was the 3rd of September, and it was Coraline by Neil Gaiman. But I wanted a nostalgic read to start off fall for me, so I kept thinking about all the books that I wanted to read growing up, and this was one of the books that I found out about because I watched the movie, found out it was a book, and I was like, I'm gonna read Coraline one day, and I did. I gave it a 3-star. I was really glad that it's like own unique thing from the movie, and that the movie wasn't just the exact same replica of the book. If you've seen Coraline, there's a particular character that's in the movie but not in the book, but I'm kind of glad he wasn't in the book because I was like, it wouldn't have really added much. So I really did enjoy it. This was the first time that a book has ever made me feel like eerie about it, and I always had this thought that I would never be able to feel like that reading a book, like the same scared feeling as you would a movie, because it's like happening in real time. You're reading it. And so I'm really glad that when I read this book, I got that feeling, because I always thought that it would never happen for me. But I gave this a 3-star. There are illustrations in this book, and it felt kind of like undone, the illustration. Like, it just felt like fairly simple, but fairly... I'm not trying to say like it was bad, but like I like the simplicity, the simpleness, whatever the word is, of the illustrations, because it highlights the eeriness of the book. I do enjoy it. Next book we have Wild Card by Elsie Silver. I started reading this on Kindle. Was it the day that it came out? Around the time that the book came out, I started reading it on Kindle, and then that same day the book got delivered. And I started on the Kindle, started on the Kindle app on my phone, and I finished on physical copy. So I tried my best to translate the highlights from my digital copy to the physical copy. Don't think I did fairly well, but I got most of it in here. I should be giving a synopsis of these books. This book is the 4th and final book in the Rose Hill series by Elsie Silver. These are the other 3. They're my pride and joy. Not the all of my Elsie Silver books. This book follows Sebastian and Gwen. Gwen is the ex-girlfriend of Sebastian's son. He either didn't know about him having a kid or something of that line, and so he was like they were fairly new to each other. It's kind of a repeated thing. Sebastian met Gwen in an airport. I think both of their flights got canceled. I was so hyped about reading the book that the beginning of the book is kind of like a blur to me because of how excited I was. I was just giddy the whole entire time. They met because I think both of their flights got canceled because there was a snowstorm. And so basically Sebastian met Gwen first, but his son started dating her. So they kind of hit it off. They kind of talked with each other for a while, got each other's numbers. And he tried to message her, but I think towards you find out somewhere along the line that the message either didn't send or it was the wrong number. Like, it was off by a number he was texting. So she thought he wasn't, like, he just forgot about her, and he thought she forgot about him, but turns out it was like some miscommunication. And so he doesn't want to ruin it with his son because the thing with his son is fairly new. They're fairly new to each other, so he's trying to hold off on his feelings for her. But I do really love the way that Elsie Silver writes the relationships between her characters. There's so much, like, for me personally, love and integrity. The smut's always second. If I can't emotionally connect with the characters on a deep level, I don't care about the smut. I don't care if the smut's good. If the relationship isn't, you you can go. I gave this book a 4-star. I was really hoping it was a 5th one. I can't really articulate what could have happened to make it a 5-star. It's just one of those instances where it gets a 4-star for me. It was the perfect way to wrap up a series. Crazy Clyde will go down being one of my favorite Elsie Silver characters in the history of Elsie Silver. If you know, you know. I just think she writes such beautiful characters, and it's like way more than just it's a smutty book for me on a personal level. And I know there's got to be like a few of you out there who think that her books are way more than just like tension and smut. Like, these characters are describing each other in like ways that I couldn't even imagine. Like, the way she has these characters describe their love for each other, it's like, you know how like it's I love you so much I can't find the words? She finds them. She finds the words. The next book we have is Stephanie Garber's Once Upon a Broken Heart. I read this on September 12th. I don't know if I think I started it on September 11th. So I started this book on the 11th, finished it on the 12th. So don't let me lie. I do remember. I think I'll say the negatives because I absolutely loved this trilogy. It felt a little long. It felt a little bit repetitive, but in not a bad way. But it is a little bit repetitive, especially how long it is. Like, if the repetitiveness was just not that much, the book would feel as though it would buy fairly quickly. I absolutely loved the whole aspect of it. That's one thing about fantasy that always be a hit. All of the like fantasies all have like similar plot lines, fairies, all of that stuff, powers and stuff, but they do it differently. And with this book, it's kind of like a lot, but a lot of fluff. And I feel as though like a first book in a series, especially a fantasy series, is like a lot of fluff, but a lot of plot development, so the second book can just be what it is, the best book. Which that's what this is. The first book is kind of just like an introduction. It tells you what the story is about. It develops the plot, and then it has a plot twist at the end of the book to get us to the second book, so we can like develop what the overarching story is. That's what this does. So I can't really rate it highly because of that reason, but I did like Evangeline. Surprisingly, the more I think about this book, the more I was like annoyed with her while reading it, but then the more I think about it, I don't really have a reason to. So like, her character grows on me. I do like her, and I think that's the thing that I'm starting to realize, that I don't like a book if I don't like the FMC. Like, we're following, especially in like when it's not dual POV and we're following one character from POVs from the whole entire time. I don't like that, especially it's like boring to me almost. I was surprised to see that I liked her character. I have a really big problem with FMCs, and I'm starting to realize that I probably shouldn't. I gave this a 3-star, a high 3-star. The next book we have, obviously, because I read series in one go, The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. Gave her a 4-star. I think I read her on the 13th. I started this one the same night I finished the last one, and I finished it on the 13th. Loved it. Loved it. Won't even spoil it, but I loved it. I love Evangeline. Love Jax. Really, I'm really happy. I love both of their characters. Wasn't mad at Evangeline. I'm just gonna like not gonna give you a synopsis because that'll be spoiling it. I really did like her, which I'm thankful for. That's why this book is like so near and dear to my heart. I love Evangeline. She's like my baby. No, I didn't spoil the cliffhanger in the first one, from the first one. So, because it'll tell you what the second one's all about. 4-star, high 4-star. This could have been 1,000 pages, and I don't think it would have been long enough. I read this, and then I flipped, and then I finished it, and I was like, that's it? That's all I get? And then I went to Goodreads, and everybody thought the same. Like, you never read a book, and it's like, you felt as though it was rushed. You loved it, but it could have been longer. This wasn't, this was a little rushed. It could have been longer. And this book is the shortest, I think, out of the series. Like, I think Stephanie Garber was done. Because the other two books are like almost 420 pages, both. This one is the shortest one out of the book, out of the trilogy. It could have been longer, and I don't think I would have had enough. I absolutely loved the ending, loved it. Had me crying, had me gasping, had me falling in love. There's a certain character in this book who I wanted to know more about. we could have gotten so much more. And I thought for a second that it was wrong to think that. And then I was reading the Goodreads to like clarify to see if I was wrong. But then everybody was like, we could have gotten way more from Chaos. So please, Stephanie Garber, if you're gonna make another book series, can I at least get like more backstory on Chaos? Like, we visit him and all of that a lot I think, did he show up in the first book? I think he did. I don't quite remember. This is what happens when you read a book series in 3 days. Book trilogy in 3 days. You just cram all the information together. But that is my one takeaway. We could have gotten a little bit more from Chaos. That was the one thing. As I got closer and closer to the end, I was like, no, we don't get like we don't have any more Chaos. What did I give A Curse for True Love? I gave it a 4-star. High 4-star, obviously. The Co-Worker by Frida McFadden. If I've said it once, I'll say it again. Once you read the first book, you'll start thinking the most outrageous things. And about 50-50 chance your thoughts will be right. Because they always are. Thought one thing, which ended up being right, but then it was for the wrong reasons. I gave this book a 3-star. Frida McFadden's writing. It's fast-paced. It's not bad. I personally don't like thriller, but I want to branch out more, so I've read a lot. I've read 3 of her books. I'm probably going to sooner or later branch out from Frida McFadden to try to read other mystery/thriller authors. I think it's a good, quick, easy, fast, predictable, but yet crazy read. I think people should read it. Okay, before I read Wildcard, I read Next of Kin on the 8th of this December. On the 8th of September, and I gave it a 3 stars. This book is by Hannah Boehm Young. This is obviously a romance. So my one thought was I enjoyed their friendship, like their growing friendship. I didn't necessarily care for the romance. I'm just gonna put the book right here because I don't want to hold it. Like, you know that list of like books of like book characters, book relationships you don't think would end to get up together? I don't think this one. Like, I think like they'd get together, get married, and in the long run they get a divorce, but then would be good friends after a while. I think that's what that would be. It's not giving romance, it's giving friendship. I was quite disappointed on how lackluster. It felt lackluster at best. So while it's not a bad book, it's not my favorite thing. It's not a bad book. It's just she improved with her writing and her emotional like stakes with the other two. All right. The last book I read in the month of September, I read it on September. I can't say that. September 23rd. It's Hello Stranger by Catherine Center. I tried reading this book twice. It says on Goodreads. I actually tried reading it 3 times in the same month. I remember not being able to get past the beginning of this book and then realizing that I'm not gonna like the main character. That's all I remember. I don't remember what happens in this book. I don't remember the characters. Gave it a 3 stars though, so it's a low one. It's not a bad book. I just didn't like the main character. I just felt it just kept going. She just kept getting more increasingly annoying. That's what I found out. She peeved me off. Didn't care about her. Didn't like her. Don't care. And that's why the book, it just gets, it gets put on the back burner. And now we have the books from October. October was the month that I did the spin wheel thing, I think, where a spin wheel picks my reads. I put all of the books that I wanted to read for fall on that spin wheel between the books I hadn't bought yet and the books that I currently had, and 2 books I had to buy and 2 books I didn't. I didn't read a few of those books, but I don't remember exactly which books I was supposed to read. I do remember one of the books I was supposed to read, Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. I think it started off very cool, and then I slowly stopped caring. But the first book we had was one of the books I pulled in that video. 1922 by Stephen King. First ever Stephen King book, lackluster at best. I gave it a 2 star. Not much I can say about it. It follows a father who had his son help him kill his wife because she wanted to sell their farm and he didn't. And And then I don't know if it was like it was really happening or it was a more psychological thing, but he started to see stuff and blah, you know, I watched the movie, read the book. They're one and the same. Didn't like either one of them. Hopefully this book is not predicting like Stephen King as a whole. I hope this was just like one of those times that the book wasn't good for me. It was short and I didn't care for it as much. Thought how he did it, how he wrote it, very cool. I liked that very much, but I did not like the story itself. The next book we have, I read on the 7th of October. It was The Perfect Marriage by Jennifer Rose. I give it a 2-star. The only reason why I gave it a 2-star is because as I got closer to the ending, I felt more and more bad for Adam. And especially with the premise of the second book, don't ever do that. Like, it's like personal reasons. I liked the writing. For one thing, I was finding myself liking the writing. Like, yeah. And then you ever have like a revenge story and you read it and you're like, I love that. But I didn't like that. Like, it is a revenge story almost, but it made me question a lot, which is rather good. It's annoying the way that it went because it doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm fine with him going to jail, but the detective work was a bunch of BS. A Cool Prince by Holly Black. I read this on the 12th of October and I gave it a 2-star. Reading is subjective. I won't read this second two unless I'm literally being held down. And it's like being forced into my eyeball. Like, ah! That's the only way you're getting me to read the second and third one. It was boring. I was bored. I was bored at this book. I'm rather disappointed that we hyped this book up so much. I can respectively say, like it as a character, don't care that it's a slow burn. I'm not saying that because I wanted romance. No, I could have done without it. Book series could go without romance, and I still would want to have the same opinion, and I think I'd like it more. Because reading the premise for the second and third book, no. Oh my god, it's a slow burn. It's enemies to lovers. I don't care. I could have gone without it. I think the book would have been better without it. And it didn't even have any romance in it. Didn't have any. I found myself getting bored with the part of the book that she was so worried about them. And respectively so, because of where she is. She's immortal, all that, blah, blah, blah. But it gave it too much power to me. I will say, this is not a romance. The first one isn't. Please stop saying it is. I didn't go into it wanting a romance because I was bored the whole time. And every time I would get happy about the book, I'd get bored again. So it gets a 2-star for me. My opinion does not dictate how good or bad this book is. I liked the writing. I liked Jude's character. I liked the ending. I just didn't care enough about the characters. I think the premise is cool. I think the premise for the second and the third book, cool. Don't care. I was so giddy that I forgot that it was supposed to have a romance plot. I was like, the good parts were good. Don't get me wrong. But I was like, I don't care. Just didn't like the book as a whole. The fourth book I read on October 15th. It is Redeemed by, I almost said Elsie Silver, Lauren Asher. I did not like the first book, so I decided to DNF the whole series. But right before I DNF'd the series, and if you don't know, when I DNF a series, it just goes on the bookshelf. So right before I DNF'd the series, I kind of skimmed through each of the book to see if there was like a saving grace for them, and I read the ending. I accidentally read the full ending of this book, like the epilogue chapter, and I absolutely fell in love with the synopsis and with the ending, so I decided to read it, and I absolutely love this story. This book follows Sebastian and Chloe. Sebastian went through an accident, I think it was like 3 years prior to the rest of the book. He lost his leg. I think it was his leg. Yeah. It was his leg. Why was I thinking it was his arm? I thought I was tripping for a second. No, he lost his leg. You just stand there and watch me going crazy. He loses his leg, and he kind of loses, like, confidence in himself and who he is, what he looks like. And he's related to Maya, I think that's what her name is from the first book. So he's got a good relationship with his sister, and he's got a good relationship with Noah, I think his name is. They were kind of like enemies in the first book. Really didn't care for the first book, so this is me paraphrasing. And so they kind of grown to have a really good relationship. I absolutely love the story that I really enjoyed this story. I loved how strong-headed, I guess is the right word, that Chloe is. I love Santiago's vulnerable side that we had a lot. I do like this story. I liked Lauren Asher's writing. Every other book I read from her, I'll not like a book, and then she'll have a book that I absolutely love, and then I'll not like another book. So it's really a hit or miss for me, and this was a hit. And I absolutely love this book. I am debating on whether or not I'll reread the story. Yeah, I didn't necessarily like Maya or Noah in this book, so I'm kind of grateful I just skipped over the first one and the second one and the third one. I wanted to give this book a 5-star. So debating on giving, and I think that's why it's not a 5-star, because I didn't like the outer characters. Fudging loved Chloe and Santiago, but I didn't like any other character in this book. Other than his nephew, I liked the little ending that they got. Them all being there, even though I didn't read the other stories, them all being there for Santiago when he's in front of the board for F1, trying to state his argument and stuff like that. I love that. I love how he kind of is like a representation for people who are like him. And I like this book. I love their characters. Once again, her writing is hit or miss for me, and I like the way that she made Chloe keep her integrity. Loved it. Loved her. Loved Santiago. Loved it. Last book, because I'm so done. Freida McFadden's The Tenant. Started on the 19th of October, finished it on the 20th. Gave it a 3-star. Can't really say much about this one. I like the cover. I wanted the blue one. Couldn't say much about this one. Trying to find something good to say. Once again, what is it with the only driving force for a woman to do something is if a man cheated? Can I just read a book about a woman being crazy? She just doesn't have to have some sort of vendetta against the guy. She's just crazy. But there was 2 plot twists in this book. I called it halfway through the book once you figured out the plot twist in the book, like the plot twist that happens. I called it for why that happened. It was so outrageous to think that that's why, because it was like plot twist. She's not who you think she's. She's not who you think she is. Her books are predictable in like a fun way for me. I know there are a lot of people who don't like her books. I think it's fun, the predictability part, because it's like so crazy it's predictable. I'm so done. These 2 months were not a good month for me. Like, for the most part, they were. But I feel as though either I'm going to go into a reading slump because of every book that I've been reading recently, or I'm going to... Those were all of the 13 books I read between the month of September and October. I hope if you enjoyed this video, you like and subscribe. November it hasn't been a good reading month for me either. So I might just lump this in with December.